as in the vigilance of the sleepless night, through the slow, heavy-footed, silent earth, repressing in her bosom its load of grief, she sat staring at the dumb thread of time and the approach of ever-nearing fate. A summons from a being summit came, a sound, a call that broke the seals of night. Above her brows, where will and knowledge meet, a mighty voice invaded mortal space. It seemed to come from inaccessible height, and yet was intimate with all the world, and knew the meaning of the steps of time, and saw eternal destinies changeless seen, filling the far prospect of the cosmic day. As the voice touched, her body became a stark and rigid golden statue of motionless trance, a stone of God lit by an amethyst soul. Around her body's stillness all grew still. Her heart listened to its slow measured beat. Her mind, renouncing thought, heard and was mute. Why camest thou to this dumb death-bound earth, this ignorant life beneath indifferent skies, hide like a sacrifice on the altar of time? O spirit, O immortal energy, if 'twas to nurse grief in a helpless heart, or with hard, fearless eyes await thy doom, arise, O soul, and vanquish time and death. But Savitri's heart replied in the dim night, my strength is taken from me and given to death. Why should I lift my hands to the shut heavens or struggle with youth's inevitable fate, or hope in vain to uplift an ignorant race who hug their lot and mock the Saviour light, and see in mind wisdom's sole tabernacle, in its far speech and its inconstant ways, a rock of safety and an anchor of peace. Is there a God whom any cry can move? He sits in peace and leaves the mortal strength impotent against his calm, omnipotent law, and inconscience in the almighty hands of death. What need have I? What need has Satyavan to avoid the black meshed net, the dismal door, or call a mightier light into life's closed room, a greater law into man's little world? Why should I strive with earth's unyielding laws, or stave off death's inevitable hour? This surely is best to baptize with my faith and follow close behind my lover's steps and pass through night from twilight to the sun across the tenebrous river that divides the adjoining parishes of earth and heaven. Then could we lie in arms, breast upon breast, untroubled by thought, untroubled by our heart, forgetting man and life and time and its all, forgetting eternity's call, forgetting God. The voice replied, is this enough, O Spirit? And what shall thy soul say when it wakes and knows the work was left undone for which it came? Or is this all for thy being born on earth, charged with a mandate from eternity, a listener to the voices of the years, a follower of the footprints of the gods, to pass and leave unchanged the old dusty law? Shall there be no new tables, No new word, no greater light come down upon the earth, delivering her from her unconsciousness and spirit from unalterable fate. Came thou not down to open the doors of faith, the iron doors that seemed forever closed, and lead man to wide and golden road that runs through finite things to eternity? Is this then the report that I must make, my head bowed with shame before the eternal seat? His power he kindles in thy body has failed, his laborer returns, her task undone. When Savitri's heart fell mute, it spoke no word, but holding back her troubled rebel heart, abrupt, erect and strong, calm like a hill, surmounting the seas of mortal ignorance, it speaks immutable above mind's air, a power within her answered the still voice. I am thy portion here, charged with thy work, as thou myself, seated forever above. Speak to my depths, O great and deathless voice. Command, for I am here to do thy will. The voice replied, remember why thou camest. Find out thy soul, recover thy hid self, in silence seek God's meaning in thy depth, then mortal nature change to the divine. Open God's door, enter into his throne, cast forth from thee that nimble ape of life, in his tremendous filling thy brain, his vast truth wake within, and know and see. Cast from thee sense that veils thy spirit's sight, in the enormous emptiness of thy mind, thou shalt see the eternal body in the world. Know him in every voice heard by thy soul. In the world's contact, deep his single touch, all things shall fold thee into his embrace. Conquer thy heart throb, let thy heart beat in God. Thy Maker shall be the engine of his work. Thy voice shall house the mightiness of his word. Then shalt thou harbour my force and conquer death. Then Savitri by her doomed husband sat, still rigid in her golden motionless pose, a statue of the fire of the inner sun. The black night, the wrath of storm swept by, the thunder crashed above her, the rain hissed, its million footsteps pattered on the roof, impassive mid the movement and the cry, witness of the force of mind, the moods of life, she looked into herself and fought for her soul. A dream disclosed to her the cosmic path, the crypt seed and the mystic origin, the shadowy beginnings of world space, the lamp of symbols lighting hidden truth, image to her the world's significance. In the indeterminate formlessness of self, creation took its first mysterious step. It made the body's shape a house of soul, filled with the seeds of life, and saw the human creature born in time. At first appeared a dim, half-neutral tide of being emerging out of infinite north. A consciousness looked at the inconscient vast, and pleasure and pain stirred in the insensible voice. All was the deed of a blind world energy. Unconscious of her own exploits, she worked, shaping a universe out of the innate. In fragmentary being, she grew aware, a chaos of little sensibilities gathered round a small ego's pinpoint head. In it, a sentient creature found its voice. It moved and lived, a breathing, thinking soul. On a dim ocean of subconscious life, a formless surface, consciousness awoke, a stream of thought and feeling came and went, a foam of memories hardened and became a bright crust of habitual sense and thought, a seed of living personality, and recurrent habits mimicked permanence. Mind, nascent, labored out a mutable form. It built a mobile house on shifting sand, a floating isle upon a bottomless sea. A conscious being was by this labor made. It looked around it on its difficult field in the green, wonderful, and perilous earth. It hoped in a brief body to survive, relying on matter's false eternity. It felt a goddess in its fragile house. It saw blue heavens, dreamed immortality. A conscious soul in the inconscious world, hidden behind our thoughts and hopes and dreams, and indifferent master signing nature's act, leaves the vicegerent's mind a scheming king. In his floating house upon the sea of time, the regent sits at work and never rests. He is a puppet of the dance of time. He is driven by the earth. The moment's call compels him with the thronging of life's need and the babble of the voices of the world. This mind no silence knows, nor dreamless sleep. In the incessant circling of its depths, thoughts dead forever through the listening brain. It toils like a machine and cannot stop. Into the body's many-storied doom, endless crowd down the dream god's messages. All is a hundred-tone murmur and babble and stir. There is a tireless running to and fro, a haste of movement and a ceaseless cry. The hurried servant senses answer apace to every knock upon the outer door. Bring in time's visitors, report each call, admit the thousand queries and the calls and the messages of communicating minds in the heavy business of unnumbered lives and all the thousandfold commerce of the world. Even in the tracts of sleep is scant repose. He mocks life's steps in strange subconscious dreams. He strays in a subtle realm of symbol themes. His night with thin air, visions and dim forms. He packs of peoples with slight drifting shapes and only a moment spent in silent self. Adventuring into infinite mind space, he unfolds his wings of thought in inner air, or traveling in imagination's car, crosses the globe, journeys beneath the stars, to subtle worlds, takes his ethereal course, visits the gods on life's miraculous peaks, communicates with heaven, tampers with hell. This is the little surface of man's life. He is this and he is all the universe. He scales unseen, his depths there the abyss, his whole mysterious world is locked within. Unknown to himself, he lives a hidden king, behind rich tapestries in great secret rooms, an epicure of the spirit's unseen joys. He lives on the sweet honey of solitude, a nameless God in an unapproachable fane, in the secret adytum of his inmost soul. He guards the being's covered mysteries beneath the threshold, behind shadowy gates, or shut in vast terrors of inconscient sleep. The immaculate divine, all wonderful, cast into the ardent purity of his soul, his splendor and his greatness and the light of self-creation in time's infinity as into a sublimely mirroring glass. And in the world's light works out the dreams of God. But all is there, even God's opposite. He is a little front of nature's work, a thinking outline of a cryptic thought. All she reveals in him that is in her. Her glories walk in him, and her darknesses. Man's house of life owes not the gods alone. There are occult shadows, there are tenebrous powers, inhabitants of life's ominous nether room, a shadowy world, stupendous denizen, careless guardian of his nature's powers. Man harbors dangerous forces in his house. The Titan and the Fury and the Jinn lie bound in the subconscious cavern pit, and the beast grovels in his anther den. Dire mutterings rise and murmur in their drought. Insurgent sometimes raises its huge head, a monstrous mystery lurking in life's deep, the mystery of dark and fallen worlds, the dread visages of the adversary kings, the dreadful powers held down within his depths, become his masters or his ministers. Enormous they invade his bodily house, and act in his act, infest his thought and life. Inferno surges into the human air and touches all with a perverting breath. Grey forces like a thin miasma creep, stealing through chinks in his closed mansion's door, discoloring the walls of upper mind in which he lives his fair and precious life, and leaves behind a stench of sin and death. Not only rise in him perverse drifts of thought and formidable formless influences, but there come presences and awful shapes. Tremendous forms and faces mount dim steps and stare at times into his living room, or called up for a moment's passionate work, lay a dire customs claim upon his heart. Aroused from sleep, they can be bound no more, afflicting the daylight and alarming night, invading at will his outer tenement, the stark gloom's grisly dire inhabitants, mounting into God's light, all light perturbed. All they have touched or seen, they make their own. In nature's resonant lodge, mind's passages fill, disrupt thought's links and musing sequences, break through the soul's stillness with a noise and cry, or they call the inhabitants of the abyss, invite the instinct to forbidden joy, a laughter wake of dead demoniac mirth, and with nether riot and revel take life's floor. Impotent to quell his terrible prisoners, appalled the householder helpless sits above. Taken from him, his house is his no more. He is bound and forced, a victim of the play. Aurelius joys in the mad and mighty din. His nature's dangerous forces have arisen and hold at will a rebel's holiday. Aroused from the darkness where they crouched in the depths, risen from the sight, they can be held no more. His nature's impulses are now his law. Once quelled of wearing specious names and vests, infernal elements, demon powers are there. Man's lower nature hides these awful depths. Their vast contagion grips sometimes man's world. An awful insurgence overpowers man's soul. In house and house the huge uprising grows. Hell's companies are loosed to do their work. Into the earth waves that break out from all doors, enraged with bloodlust and the will to slay, and fill with horror and carnage God's fair world. Death and his hunters stalk a victim earth. The terrible angel bites at every door. An awful laughter mocks at the world's pain, and massacre and torture grin at heaven. All is the prey of the destroying force. Creation rocks and trembles up and days. With this evil nature housed in human heart, this foreign inhabitant, a dangerous guest. The soul that harbors it, it can dislodge, expel the householder, possess the house, an opposite potency contradicting God, a momentary evil's almightiness has saddled the straight path of nature's act. It imitates the Godhead it denies, puts on his figure and assumes his face. The Manichaean creator and destroyer, this can abolish man and ulf his world. But there is a guardian power, there are hands that save, calm eyes divine regard the human scene. All the world's possibilities in man are waiting as the tree waits in its seed. His past lives in him, it drives his future state, his present acts fashion his coming fate. The unborn gods hide in his house of life. The demons of the unknown overshadow his mind, casting their dreams into live molds of thought, the mold in which his mind builds out its world. His mind creates around him its universe. All that has been renews in him its birth. All that can be is figured in his soul. Issuing indeed its course on the roads of the world, obscure to the interpreting reason's guess, lines of the secret purpose of the God. In strange directions runs the intricate plan. Held back from human foresight is their end, and the far intention of some ordering will, or the order of life's arbitrary chance, finds out its settled poise and stated hour. Our surface washed in rain by reason's gaze, invaded by the impromptus of the unseen, helpless records the accidents of time, the involuntary turns and leaps of life. Only a little of us foresees its depth, Only a little has will and purposed space. A vast subliminal is man's measureless power. The dim subconscious is his cavern base, abolished vainly in the walks of time. Our past lives still in our unconscious selves, and by the weight of its hidden influences is shaped our future self-discovery. Thus all is an inevitable chain, and yet a series seems of accidents. The unremembering hours repeat the old acts. Our dead past round our future's ankles clings and drags back the new nature's glorious stride. Or from its buried corpse old ghosts arise, old thoughts, old longings, dead passions live again, recur in sleep, or move the waking man to words that force the barrier of the lips, to deeds that suddenly start and o'erleap his head of reason and his guardian will. An old self lurks in the new self we are. Hardly we escape from what we once had been. In the dim dream of habit passages, in the subconscious darkening corridors, all things are carried by the porter nerves, and nothing checked by subterranean mind, unstudied by the guardians of the door, and passed by a blind instinctive memory. The old gang dismissed, old cancelled passports served. Nothing is wholly dead that once had lived. In dim tunnels of the world's being and in all, the old rejected nature still survives. The corpses of its slain thoughts raise their heads and visit mind's nocturnal walks in sleep. Its stifled impulses read and move and hide. All peace is phantom immortality. Irresistible are nature's sequences. The seeds of sin's renown sprout from hid soil. The evil cast from our hearts once more we face. Our dead selves come to slay our living soul. A portion of earth lives in present time, a secret masked in dim inconscient growth. Out of the inconscient and subliminal, arisen, we live in mind's uncertain light and strive to know and master a dubious world whose purpose and meaning are hidden from our sight. Above us dwells a superconscient God, hidden in the mystery of his own light. Around us is a vast of ignorance, lit by the uncertain ray of human mind. Below us sleeps inconscient, dark and new. But this is only matter's first self-view. Its scale and theories in the ignorant. This is not all we are or all our world. Our greater self of knowledge waits for us, the supreme light in the truth conscious war. It sees from summits beyond thinking mind. It moves in a splendid air, transcending life. It shall descend and make earth's life divine. Truth made the world, not a blind nature for. But here are not our large, diviner heights, our summits in the superconscious place are glorious with the very face of God. There is our act of eternity. There is the figure of the God we are, his young, unaging look on deathless things, his joy in our escape from death and time, his immortality and light and death. Our larger being sits behind cryptic walls. There are greatnesses hidden in our unseen parts that wait their hour to step into life's sun. We feel an aid from these indwelling gods. One speaks within, light comes to us from above. Our soul from its mysterious chamber acts, its influence pressing on our heart and mind, pushes them to exceed their mortal self. It seeks for good and beauty and for God. We see beyond self's walls our limitless self. We gaze through our world's glass at our seen vast. We hunt for the truth behind apparent things. Our inner mind dwells in a larger light. Its brightness looks at us through hidden doors. Our members luminous grow, and wisdom's face appears in the doorway of the mystic wall. When she enters into our house of outward sense, then we look up and see above her sun, a mighty life self with its inner power supports the dwarfish modicum we call life. It can grasp upon our soul through puissant wings. Our body's subtle self is throned within, in its viewless palace of veridical dreams that are bright shadows of the thoughts of God. In the throne of pure beginnings of the race, the human grew in the bowed ape-like man. She stood erect, a godlike form and force, and a soul's force looked out from earth-born eyes. Man stood erect, he wore the thinker's brow. He looked at heaven and saw his comrade star. His vision came of beauty and greater birth, slowly emerging from the hard chapel of light and moved in a white lucent air of dream. He saw his being unrealized vastnesses. He aspired and housed the nascent demigod. Out of the dim recesses of the self, the occult seeker into the open pain. He heard the far and touched the intangible. He gazed into the future and the unseen. He used the powers earth's instruments cannot use, a pastime made of the impossible. He caught up fragments of the omniscience of his scattered formulas of omnipotence. Thus man in his little house made of earth's dust grew towards an unseen heaven of thought and dream, looking into the vast vistas of his mind on a small globe nothing infinity. Last, climbing a long and narrow stair, he stood alone on the high roof of things and saw the light of a spiritual sun. Aspiring, he transcends his earthly self. He stands in the largeness of his soul's new born, redeemed from encirclement by mortal things, and moves in a pure, free, spiritual realm, as in the rare breath of a stratosphere, a last end of far lines of divinity. He mounts by a frail thread to his high soar. He reaches his fount of immortality. He calls the Godhead into his mortal life. All this the Spirit concealed had done in her, a portion of into her as into its own human part. Amid the cosmic workings of the God, it marks her the center of a white bronze queen dreams in the passion of her far-seen spirit to mold humanity into God's own shape and lead this great, blind, struggling world to life or a new world with power of create. Earth must transform it herself and equal heaven, or heaven descend into earth's mortal state. But for such vast spiritual change to be, out of the mystic heaven in man's heart, the heavenly psyche must put off her veil and step into common nature's crowded rooms and stand uncovered in that nature's front and rule its thought and fill the body and life. Obedient to a high command, she sat. Time, life, and death were passing incidents, obstructing with their transient view her sight that must break through and liberate the God imprisoned in the visionless mortal man. The inferior nature, born into ignorance, still took too large a place. It veiled herself and must be pushed aside to find her soul.